So I downloaded Starfield the other day. I don't have it anymore. I refunded it. It has nothing to do with what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Nothing at all of that sort. It has a lot to do with the fact that the game was a colossal piece of shit that wasn't running well at all. Another Bethesda game they released that they're expecting the community to mod and patch and mod and patch and, you know, basically doing a lot of the legwork for them, and just how Bethesda goes. Fuck you, Todd Howard. But before I decided to refund this purchase, I headed to the discussions portion of Steam. Now, I already knew that I'd probably be in for a lot of toxicity. This is, of course, a place where some of the worst incel neckbeards hang in the internet gaming community. I understand that, but I went down a rabbit hole anyway because I was absolutely taken aback at just the sheer number of threads there were about just the pronouns in this video game. Just the very fact that you could have a pronoun in this video game. I was absolutely, I shouldn't have been, but I was stunned. You search pronouns in here in the discussions for Starfield on the Steam community, you end up with 121 motherfucking pages of crap, interspersed with people just trying to get people to understand that this is inclusivity 101, folks. You know, non-binary people, non-cis people for ages in this world have been told they don't exist. They've been told within their own communities even, don't talk too much about it because you'll get people like this on the internet bullying you, or in real life bullying you, abusing you, making you feel like you're not a human, making you feel like there's something wrong with you. Now it is becoming more normalized. Something as simple as a pronoun to help these people feel included, to help them feel like they're not being left behind by society the way that they've been left behind by society for forever, you know? It really shouldn't be that hard to grasp. And when you look at the whole creation thing on Starfield, picking a pronoun is like 1/1 billionth of your overall game experience. It's really, you are complaining when you go to Reddit, when you go to this Steam thing, when you go to Facebook, when you go to 4chan, when you go to whatever corner of the internet where you dump your verbal diarrhea to complain about these pronouns, you are complaining about 1/1 billionth of a trillionth of a tiny speck of a video game that people have to do such mental gymnastics to justify why they're sitting here complaining about this stuff. You'll see people all over here. I'll let you go through all these yourself. This thing mostly here was just like a visual aid. I'm not going to go through a lot of these. But you've got people who are trying to say that they're not bigots, who are saying that, yeah, hey, look, like, I have no problem with gay people, I have no problem with trans people, I have no problem with non-binary people, but when you start putting their pronouns in my video games, when you start trying to put pronouns in, you know, this place and that place, you're shoving it down my throat. You're shoving it out. You know, the way that you've shoved your bigotry and hatred for them down the throats of everybody around you and everyone on the internet for forever, you know, and just got away with it. And now you're mad that you can't get away with it anymore. And so any attempt that is made to normalize pronouns in this world is going to be met with your ire and your contempt. That's what we're dealing with, folks. A video game company, whether it was just performative capitalism or not, performative corporate bullshit, whatever, decided to just go with the flow, because that's what this is. With pronouns, with bathrooms, with every part of society that is now becoming inclusive towards non-binary folks. It's just going with the flow. They're not shoving anything down your throat. They're not forcing anything upon you. And by the way, all these people making the arguments that, you know, to justify their bigotry, let's just call it what it is. You can say, oh, I'm not a bigot. Yes, you are if you're complaining about pronouns, because this is one way to make them feel like they exist, and you think that shouldn't exist because you think they shouldn't exist. Because you think that their existence is invalid, because you think that trans people are invalid, because you think that this whole gender thing is just, hey, it's just being blown out of proportion. This is some new fad, which it's not, by the way. It's been around forever, but now it's becoming, can I use this word again? Normalized. Oh, God, I lost my train of thought. Can you imagine, like, somewhere in the far future when humans have just extinguished themselves, which, you know, I mean, come on. Look around you, and if you still think that this species isn't just going straight into an interminable and eternal sewer, maybe you need to look a little bit closer. But just like far off in the future, some alien, they come down to Earth and they start rooting through our records. They start rooting through the things that made humans human. Oh, look, they went to space. How cute. Oh, look, they did this thing, and they almost came this close to curing cancer, but some corporations figured out that they couldn't profit enough from it, so they kept they kept it hidden or secret, or they kept it behind a paywall that only billionaires could access. Wow, they came this close to curing this disease, but again, the pharmaceutical companies couldn't profit, money, profit. Oh, wait, PRO. Okay, now we're coming to the pronouns part of it. Oh, let's see. And then they see just a litany, like a huge pile of people, millions and millions of people who got so pissed off over pronouns in a video game that they complained about it on a message board, that they got the game refunded, that they protested Bethesda, and they protested everywhere they could over some words to define the gender of a person. And they matched that up with capitalism and all of the other self-destructive things human beings lived through. They leave the planet, but they don't leave it empty. They just vaporize it. They vaporize it. We don't want anybody else landing here having to see this stuff. They're a failed experiment. A failed experiment. That's it. That's all they were. Humans were just, you know, they had so much promise. They had these brains. They could have done so much. It could have gone so far, but the experiment failed, and we don't want anybody to see this embarrassment. There goes Earth. It's kind of poetic when you think about it, because when I see mouth-breathing cretins all over the internet who can't accept acceptance, who cannot accept something as insignificant to them, you know, it's funny. Like when somebody talks about their pronoun, it's you know, they think it doesn't exist, it's insignificant, you know. But once it's in their video game or once it's in their sport, oh, sports fans and inclusivity, oh my God, they could just ignore it. They could just let it go, like they do with so many problems in this world. You could just ignore it and let it go. Ignore it like you ignore childhood poverty. Ignore it like you ignore just poverty in general, or child hunger, infant mortality rate in the richest, best country in the world. The way that you ignore people with disabilities, the way that you ignore, you know, you could just ignore it and move on and be part of the herd that gets left behind with history, who just can't accept anything that's not cis white, cannot accept anything that is different, cannot just take a brief moment of your time to learn a little bit of something about what's happening rather than just resisting it at every turn. You know, it's just embarrassing. It's really embarrassing going through these things, you know. And I know I don't have to read these things. I don't have to put myself in this position to read people saying all this stuff about, you know, pronouns, but just this is how utterly unintelligent and ridiculous some people are, that they waste valuable moments of their lives on the internet railing against something that is there as just an inevitable part of society progressing. This is one way, this is good. When pronouns start to become more and more normalized, that is a sign of humanity and society progressing, because fewer and fewer bigots who want to regress society, fewer of them are being heard. That's good. It is not an opinion when you say that a pronoun is invalid, or that a trans person is invalid, or that a homosexual person or a non-binary person. When you say that the things that make them human, the things that they know in their brains that you will never be able to know, make them who their identities, things that are being implemented into society, into our overall culture to help them create identities that you want to take away. You know, these things are progressive. You are regressive and should be left behind. You should be ignored. And when you talk about you're being censored and you're being, you know, like the Steven Crowders of this world and the Joe Rogans, and you're not being censored. People are just tired of listening to your stupid bullshit. People are tired of listening to your stupid bullshit. That's all it is. Thank you for listening to my bullshit, even though I meant every single word I said.